The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra. We are live in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. On Facebook, we are streaming live and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Radio Wa in Wa, ATL in Cape Coast, KTU Radio, Koforidua, Radio Max is in Takrade, Lolonyo FM Hohoi, A1 Radio Dreams FM Bolgatanga, and Jubilee Radio in Keta. You can go digital on Spotify and the MindJoy online app. And coming up, electricity and water tariffs increased by 27 and 21% respectively as the PRC justifies the latest adjustment.
The Commission admitted, however, that some level of increases in utility tariffs were inevitable if the nation was to avoid another doom so. The Commission therefore decided to increase the end-user electricity tariff by 27.15%.
We'll bring you details. Also, government identifies tackling inflation and reduction of food prices topmost as President Akufo-Addo describes as unacceptable the depreciation of the Ghana cedi against major trading currencies.
The Akufo-Addo government has not thrown up its hands in despair. Arrangements are being made with market women to provide trucks to evacuate foodstuffs from rural markets to urban centers.
But we'll tell you the immediate strategies being rolled out by government to deal with the rising cost of living as farmers warn of further increases in foodstuff.
So for food prices, nobody should expect that food prices will go down slightly, because if you look at the current cost of production, it's going to be very difficult for any farmer who is a business person to be able to sell it lower than the current price.
Also in this package, deep-seated division within the Ghana Revenue Authority as staff of its Customs Division jams to the defense of Colonel Kojo, who has been tagged by management as expressing personal opinion on the La Bianca scandal.
What he has done was misconceived. Let us not confuse advanced ruling under Section 12. It's just about deciding that you want to do the thing ahead of time. Right. There's no advanced ruling method for valuation separately from what pertains across the entire customs administration globally.
We'll also hear from an anti-corruption campaigner and a member of Parliament's Public Accounts Committee urging the workers to back off.
When there is a clear case of thievery, that those people are instead wanting to support those who are engaged and denying the state up to an amount of over 1 million Ghana cedis.
The energy they are spending there is not going to help them. The investigations will be done thoroughly.
Office of Special Prosecutor reveals it is still investigating the alleged bribery of some Ghanaians by international aerospace company Airbus in the purchase of aircrafts for Ghana. We'll bring you details. And later, absence of roadmap for repair works on ECG systems within Yellow and Manyakrobo municipalities, impeding restoration of power to the areas which have been without electricity for third straight week.
It's not the best for the economy. It is not the best for Ghana. So the earlier we do something about it, the better.
ECG must restore power.
Coming up in sports.
Well, we'll bring you details from the camp of Asante Kotoko, where Dr. Prosper Nata Ogum is expected to today finalize his future with the club.
And much later, how musician Akon influenced a young Ghanaian to sing instead of pursuing his dream of becoming a pilot.
He inspired me. He's the reason why I changed my dreams of becoming a pilot to becoming a musician today. Akon and me, though. Hey, go back.
Have details of these stories and more in this half-hour package. Please stay with us. Hello again, thanks for choosing us. My name is Ernest. Manu, let's settle for the details now. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has announced a new tariff for electricity and water. Consumers will pay 27% more for electricity and 21% more for water effective September 1. This was announced by the Executive Secretary of the PRC, Dr. Ishmael Aka, a while ago.
In balancing the interests of service providers, the financial viability of service providers, and the ability of consumers to pay, the PRC acknowledged the very economic variables that have occasioned the steep increase proposed by the service providers also affect consumers. The Commission admitted, however, that some level of increases in utility tariffs were inevitable if the nation was to avoid another doom so, and its attendant effect, including job losses. The Commission therefore decided after rigorous analysis and engagement, to increase the end-user electricity tariff by 27.15%. The Commission therefore decided, after rigorous and objective analysis and extensive consultations, to increase the end-user electricity tariff by 27.15% and water by 21.55%, effective 1st September 2022. The rates in view of the Commission are sensitive and responsive to the positions of all stakeholders, consumers, and utilities, in line with Section 3C of PURC Act 1997.
So that's the Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, Dr. Ishmael Aka, announcing the increase in electricity tariffs for this year, effective September 2022, September 1. My colleague Kofi J, data analyst with the research desk, joins me in the studio with some further breakdown. Kofi, what more do we know about the latest development?
Right, and so we know ECG initially requested for 148% upward adjustment, but ended up getting 27.15 today. Ghana Water Company also proposed the biggest upward adjustment of 334%, but received 21.55% today. So for water, the PRC agreed to increase the tariff due to high cost of treatment as a result of high stability levels that we see currently. And reasons given for electricity were high cost of production, high demand for electricity, and exchange rate. And we also know that some bars were raised. So for instance, you needed to consume between 0 to 50 kilowatts per hour to be on the lifeline. Now it has been slashed down to 0 to 30. So it simply means that if you consume more than 30 kilowatts per hour, you are no longer on the lifeline.
And indeed, the Executive Secretary had indicated that industry was no longer going to cushion residential consumers.
Exactly.
And he had also said that this was going to be business friendly. We'll get a reaction of the businesses later to this development. Kofi, thank you very much for bringing us those details. Let's move on and talk about the economy now, because President Akufo-Addo has described as unacceptable the uncontrolled depreciation of the Ghana cedi against major trading currencies. The cedi has lost 3 cedis, 15 pesos to the US dollar so far this year. This equivalent to about 30% since the cedi was redenominated in 2007 and currently selling at almost 10 cedis to the dollar. Ghana is reeling under severe economic hardship, with inflation hitting over 30%. The country is looking to the International Monetary Fund for a bailout, but ahead of that, President Akufo-Addo says immediate measures have to be taken to stabilize the economy. Listen.
Sooner rather than later, our nation will find itself out of the woods. The Akufo-Addo government has not thrown up its hands in despair. We are determined to bring relief to the Ghanaian people and return the economy back to the high rates of growth that characterized our development in the 3 years preceding the COVID-19 outbreak, and which made our economy one of the fastest growing in the world at the time. The approach to the IMF is a major step in the short run towards that goal. Other steps will be taken, in particular, to deal with the unacceptable depreciation of the currency, the cedi. Reining in inflation by bringing down food prices is a major preoccupation of the government. And hopefully, this season's emerging successful harvest will assist us in this regard. Arrangements are being made with market women, the market queens of popular parlance, to provide trucks to evacuate foodstuffs from rural markets to urban centers to help reduce food prices in the city.
That's President Akufo-Addo there, but that intervention will not yield much, according to the Peasant Farmers Association, because increases in food inputs like fertilizer continues to impact their production. President of the association, Dr. Charles Inyaba, spoke on the Super Morning Show.
So people always saying that farmers are inflating prices, but I'm telling you, look at I'm just giving you only fertilizer prices, and these prices cuts across all the other factors of production like mechanization, seeds, agrochemicals. So farmers have no option than to also save the price. There are other farmers who are also reducing their farm sizes, and then others are actually producing without applying fertilizers. I have few farmers who are selling their livestock to use to be able to procure fertilizers to do their few farms that they have.
President of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyameke, is expecting an aggressive effort by government to fix the economy.
Haven't really received that support that will have a significant change in our business. What we've been advocating for, which was the lessons we learned from our agitation for support from government, that we decided that government should just fix the business environment, should just fix the economic environment for us with regards to the exchange rates, with regards to inflation, which has become terrible now, with regards to the fuel prices, with regards to the high lending rates, utility tariffs. These are all things that are the doorstep for government. We, as business entities, will certainly apply some managerial or management skills to control our costs, to control our operations.
So how are you managing? How is this really affecting you? There are some people who called into the Super Morning Show.
I have dogs in my house, and 2 dogs. Currently, I can't feed them. Reason is that dog food, which I used to buy for 270 cedis, has now shot to between 480 and 520. Now, the problem is that I'm torn between giving those dogs out or killing them, because feeding them has become difficult. 2, you will need to kill them because these bad guys are around. You don't have dogs, and situations are hard.
I have a family of 5 kids in school, but for the first time, I'm considering, do I have to change my kids' school?
I'm a farmer. I'm growing maize and other things. I used to buy this weedicide. In fact, way back 2015, I was buying it around 12 cedis, a bottle, 12 cedis. Today, I'm buying it 58 cedis.
Those are some people who called into the Super Morning Show. This afternoon, there's serious division within the Ghana Revenue Authority. Management has distanced itself from controversial remarks by head of its Customs Division, Colonel Kojo retired, on a special report issued by the Office of Special Prosecutor. The staff of this division, however, remains solidly behind the customs boss. The Special Prosecutor has cited 2 officials of the GRA, including Colonel Damwa, for the unlawful grant of tax waivers to a company belonging to a member of the Council of State. Now, this is how the customs boss reacted to the findings.
But if you read it very well, there's nothing in it. It's hollow. It's actuated by malice. And those who are behind it, they know themselves. They know themselves. They've tried it several times. It is not working, and it won't work. I'm ready for any prosecution. That's what he must do. Not to say that they should do further investigations up to 2017.
Well, management has distanced itself from these comments. My colleague Joseph Akable joins me in the studio with details of a statement released. Joseph, what does the GRA say about these comments?
The GRA says the customs boss spoke in his personal capacity and did not convey the opinion of the board and management of the Ghana Revenue Authority.
How about the Special Prosecutor's report? What does the GRA have to say about it?
It says it accords the Office of Special Prosecutor with the respect and dignity that the office carries, and it intends to study the report in detail to ensure implementation of measures to improve revenue collection.
And other steps it intends to take in terms of dealing with the issue going forward in the long term.
And so it states that it has since December 2021 issued a directive that discounts or rebates should be given on items or products at importation, and to cancel all approved discounts. It also indicates that it is undertaking a review in line with the recommendations of the Special Prosecutor to ensure that it deals with such matters.
Joseph, thank you very much for bringing us details of that statement by the GRA. But despite that statement, the Customs Staff Association has jumped to the defense of the customs boss, insisting he did no wrong. The association maintains the Special Prosecutor got it wrong and alleges a push by some element geared at reshuffling the leadership of the institution.
The presser itself is on the eminent shake-up that was published in on media platforms. That is what initiated the whole statement. Right. So the talk about the timing of the publication isn't to talk about the release of the Special Prosecutor's report. We can't have control over when he releases his report. If it accords to the dictates of the law we work with, we would accept it. But to talk about what was the basis of us coming to the conclusion that what he has done was misconceived. If that is why I kept saying, let us not confuse advanced ruling under Section 12. It's just about deciding that you want to do the thing ahead of time. Right. Then when you take that decision, if it concerns valuation, there's no advanced ruling method for valuation separately from what pertains across the entire customs administration globally.
The report says that LaBianca did not make any application. It's clearly stated there.
But if an interested party applies to you that accept my values and submitted to you from the OSP's own report, that the application was made to the commissioner, asking that accept my values for this consignment.
You have the Gift Chama, National Secretary of the Customs Staff Association, speaking to my colleague Blessed Suga on the probe on the Joy News channel. Member of Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, Murtala Mohammed, wants the customs workers to stop attacking the work of the special prosecutor.
It's amazing the desperate attempt by people who should be interested in defending the public purse when there is a clear case of thievery, that those people are instead wanting to support those who are engaged and denying the state up to an amount of over 1 million Ghana cedis. The list said about the statement issued by the Staff Association of Customs, the better. To be very honest, the list say about it, the better. Now, listen, Section 12 is not just talking about application. There is a form you fill. The law is specific. There is a process, a strict process that we follow.
Murtala Mohammed is a member of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. Let's stay a while longer on graft and on the special prosecutor, because he says he's still investigating payments of bribes by International Aerospace Agency Airbus SE to some Ghanaian officials. The Airbus scandal is one of the many cases the former special prosecutor Martin Amidu started investigating. Former President John Dramani Mahama and his brother Samuel Mahama were identified by Mr. Amidu as subject of this inquiry. The current special prosecutor Kisei Jabin says he's seeking the assistance of Interpol on this matter. Joseph Akable is with me in the studio and has details on this. Which other entity, Joseph, is the SP engaging on this matter?
The office is also engaging central authorities in the United Kingdom and the United States under a mutual legal assistance regime as it continues with its probe.
And we understand that the case against the Ebuaka South MP Samuel Atachian will no longer be investigated.
Yes, Mr. Atachian was accused of financial malfeasance. The complainant is said to have admitted that he filed a complaint without any basis and that he was paid to fabricate the content of the complaint. The complainant and his accomplices are under investigations for filing the complaint with a singular aim of tarnishing the reputation of the Member of Parliament.
Let's now look at some other cases on the table of the SP. First, let's start with the Northern Development Authority case.
Now, on June 30, 2022, the office commenced investigations into suspected corruption and corruption-related offences in respect of a contract awarded by Northern Development Authority to A&Q's consortium. This has to do with the alleged forgery of signature. We have been told that the special prosecutor directed the Controlling Accountant General to immediately freeze payments arising from the contract as he continues with investigations.
Do we have an update on the PPP scandal?
The PPA scandal, we recall the former CEO, Ejeni Mboatin-Eje. We know he was arraigned and prosecution of that particular matter is still ongoing.
And in terms of the SP's approach going forward, how does he tend to deal with all these cases on his table?
A new measure that will be rolling out is to employ the services of investigative journalists to help uncover corruption.
Interesting. Joseph, thank you very much for bringing us those details. Now, this afternoon, the absence of a roadmap for repair works on systems of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, within the Yilo and Manya-Krobo municipalities is impeding efforts to reconnect them to the national grid. The areas are in the third week without power after the ECG cut supply over disagreement regarding the provision of prepaid meters. Key installations like hospitals have been worse hit, with an all-round suspension of new admissions. And let's go live now and speak to the ECG. We'll be back in the town shortly to hear from the municipal assemblies and what they've been doing. Sechu Mensah speaks for the Tema region of the ECG and joins us on the line. Thank you very much for your time here on the Midday News. So we know there was a meeting with the chiefs and other leaders of the area last week. A consensus was reached that you will be allowed to work. Has that work started?
Well, good afternoon. Like you mentioned, there was a meeting last week and there was a consensus One of the main consensus was that there will be a roadmap that will be released. So based on that, we'll all know what we are all supposed to do. That roadmap clearly has not been released yet. So until then, we are unable to speak to the discussions that were held. I mean, the discussions that were had during this meeting.
Was there a timeline provided for the release of this roadmap?
I cannot speak to it. I don't know whether a timeline was provided or not. So I really cannot speak to it.
Beyond the roadmap, what else is stopping you from going there, especially with critical installations to the area?
We have raised issues on safety. Since all this started. We have maintained and we have consistently raised issues on safety. And to sort of ignore our reasons, our concerns, and to keep asking when are we going to restore supply, or when is power expected to come on. We have maintained that we are ready to work. We are willing to work. However, we do not feel safe. So once we feel safe, once we are given that assurance of safety, we will be back to work in the shortest possible time.
You talk about the damage to your equipment. If you could just give us a fair understanding of the extent of damage to your transformers especially.
We have not been able to go to the field to ascertain the extent of damage. We have not been able to. So we cannot tell whether probably we have to replace 1, 2, 3 transformers, whether these other transformers would require spare parts to be placed there or not. We really cannot tell because we've not been able to get into the field to ascertain the extent of interference and the extent of work that we have to do in order to make our network healthy. We have not been able to do that.
For critical installations like hospitals, your boss did indicate that you are going to provide some assistance for them to continue running. Has that support been extended already?
Well, what I know for now is that it's still on the discussion table. Major decisions on it final decisions on it have not yet been arrived at, but it's on the discussion table, and I'm aware they are discussing it at the management level.
We'll leave it here. Thank you very much. That's Sechua Mensah, and she speaks for the Tema region of the ECG. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Our top story this hour, electricity and water tariffs increased by 27 and 21% respectively as the PRC justifies the latest adjustment. We're taking a break. When we return, we'll bring you the latest in sports. Plus, hear how a musician, Akon, influenced a young Ghanaian to sing instead of pursuing his dream of becoming a pilot.
Lonely, I'm Mr. Lonely.
He inspired me. He's the reason why I changed my dreams of becoming a pilot to becoming a musician today. Acorn and Needle, hey, go bad. You never
Yamawa Aquaba, but Aquaba Magic Busia, brand new channel, Tia Roba, Emuno Tiao, our DSTV channel 149 and Go TV channel 108. Enianom Aquaba Magic Busia, and the Nidia Ghanaian programs mu Baufi, a bit said the day to have and to hold. And yom Senior Cassia series and a talk show, Bemoaka TV sets Nichi. Aquaba Magic Busia, our DSTV access to your 50 Ghana cities per and Go TV value to your 25 Ghana cities per Ebusia Aquaba.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. Let's find out what's happening in the world of sports. Razak Musbao joins us. Good afternoon, Razak.
Good afternoon, Ernest. Asante Kotoko is expected to finalize a decision on the future of head coach Dr. Prosper Nata Ogum today. The coach is meeting with the technical committee of the board and management in Accra to reach an agreement on his future.
Dr. Prosper Gumnate has already communicated his decision to resign as coach of Kotoko to the board. Our sources say his position has not changed. We hear the management wants to pay 2 of the 3 months unpaid salary to the coach, but he is yet to accept that. A decision is expected to be made to bring closure to the recent speculation on Dr. Prosper Gumnate's future. A new coach is expected to lead the Porcupine Warriors when they embark on the African campaign and the domestic football season.
So that was Stephen Zando of our affiliate Love FM bringing us details on that. And just a bit on the under-20 women's team. They lost their second game in a row. They have their last game on Wednesday. And the only way they can qualify out of the group stage is if they are able to beat the Netherlands in their last game, 6-0, and the USA loses to Japan. You're familiar with this, aren't you?
Such an arduous task. But thank you, Razak, for bringing us. And all the best to the ladies. Now, the police administration is deploying more personnel to crime-prone areas and the highways to address armed robberies and other criminal activities. About 3,000 recruits who benefited from the modified police training module are set for this exercise. The president announced this when he presented 1,500 motorbikes to the service to aid in their duty of providing protection for the country.
That will continue to do all what it takes to maintain the peace and ensure the security and the safety of everyone, so that Ghana will continue to be a beacon of hope and a trailblazer when it comes to sustain peace and security in a sub-region which is in turmoil.
So that's the IGP, Dr. George Akufu.
Of the efforts being put in place by personnel of the service to intensify targeted operations in communities which hitherto were notorious for violent crime. Indeed, special teams have been trained and positioned in defined locations to make it difficult, if not impossible, for criminals to have a field day. The teams also provide escort services to commercial vehicles plying some of our important roads to ensure the safety of travelers.
President Akufo-Addo there. The minority on the Health Committee is calling on government to immediately withdraw an alleged directive to colleges of health which seeks to reserve 30% of admission spots for government to fill. According to the ranking member on the committee, Kwabena Minta-Kando, government has directed the schools also not to admit more than 50% of its capacity and says this is due to government's inability to pay allowances as well as plans to populate the schools with unqualified protocol students.
Information reaching us, part of these new administrative directives require nursing training institutions to reserve a minimum of 30% of their total admissions for the Ministry of Health to complete. The reasons for these reservations or the process by which the ministry expects to admit trainees into training colleges are currently undisclosed. We see these new directives as an attempt by government to clear a path that makes room for protocol admissions of party apparatchiks, candidates with deep pockets, and those who, under normal circumstances, will not gain admissions to get access to these training colleges. This, we believe, is a recipe for the unbridled corruption that has recently characterized all admissions into government institutions, be it the police service, military recruitment, teacher training schools, and now nursing training colleges.
Kwabena Minta-Kando is ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament. And just before we go, let's do some showbiz. Musician Kamido has revealed that he wanted to be a pilot, but after falling in love with the music of Akon, he changed his mind. He spoke on exclusives with Noella Karinyale.
These streets remind me of quicksand. Everything I am today started from you, Akon. He inspired me. He's the reason why I changed my dreams of becoming a pilot to becoming a musician today.
Well, I think you should have Akon on your remix.
Yeah, man. Akon and me, though. Hey, go back.
And of course, you can always change your career path. That's a musician, Kamido there, bringing us to the end of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Our top story this hour, electricity and water tariffs increased by 27 and 21%. The PRC has been justifying this latest adjustment. We'll bring you more in our subsequent bulletins, but you can find more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Ernest. Up next is Living Word with Dr. Mensa Otabil. Stay with us.
life wonderful when everything worth doing is scheduled, hitting the stop button on your alarm just in time for your morning jog. That's happy moments listening to your baby's heartbeat at the doctor's office. Or an arranged virtual meeting with that big client.
Buy 70# option 3 and follow the process. Or simply dial *170*.